Welcome to Universe Unveiled, the podcast where we explore the mysteries that challenge our understanding of history and the universe. I'm Sarah.
And I'm Jacqueline. Today, it's time for another UU crew session. We do these sessions once a month. We get the crew together and we each listen while one of us presents a topic. So today, Sarah is up. But before we get started, we'll let the boys introduce themselves. Shaman, why don't you go first?
No, Ricardo's supposed to go first. Fine, I'll go first. I'm looking forward to Sarah's presentation today. I think a month or so ago, I got a little heads up on what was coming, and I'm really excited. I am fresh back from the, what was it, Quest for Ancient Civilizations conference in Scottsdale, Arizona, where I got to meet I haven't really met anybody in this community in person, and I got to, I think, meet all of them this past weekend. It was really excellent. But what I'm happy to be is back here with you guys, amongst my family. It was really excellent along the trip, y'all. We've got this little Discord group, and I got to keep the guys updated as I went along. I've got kids, but my kids, they're teenagers now, so they don't care that the sunset looked cool from the plane. You know what I mean? So the fact that I got to keep up with you guys the whole way really meant a lot to me. And I'm just
We definitely got the play-by-play.
You got the play-by-play, and I got to stay and feel connected and, grounded with what I was doing there with you guys as well. It was kind of like having you there. So I'm just happy to be back amongst you, and let's have Sarah talk to us. Jason Huffman, Shaman 711 on X, put an underscore after the 11. Find me on YouTube, series Antediluvian Alabama, where we look at evidence of a high heat, high energy event in our ancient past. Oh, yeah, and finding Mobilla, too. I found Mobilla, Hernando de Soto's spot. Ricardo.
Oh, and that.
Who I have a podcast with, the Shaman and Philosopher podcast. My co-host, the eminent podfather, Ricardo Calvario, who, by the way, has a birthday today. Happy birthday.
Uh-oh.
Oh, no.
This is your birthday song. It is very long. Hey.
Don't tell Shaman any secrets, y'all.
Don't. This will air later. Don't worry. It won't even be your birthday. You'll get a second birthday out of it, and you can actually celebrate this one since you're a little stiff on this one.
Ricardo, do you want to tell the people who you are, where they can find you?
Well, I just want to say I'm leaving now. Had enough of that.
You should be celebrated, boss. You should. Look, you have a reputation. Now, I was out there amongst all these folks this weekend, and I do a lot of listening, when I'm not just off with the boys having a little fun, Thank you, Mike and Dave from Mike and Dave's Multiverse for making all of that possible. Incredible people all the way around. My point is, Ricardo, you do have a reputation, whether it's online or whatever. You are known for bringing, right, a lot of people together. You have a reputation for doing a lot behind the scenes, let alone the stuff you yourself put out, right? And so I understand that humility carries forward to not wanting to celebrate your birthday. And it doesn't have to be your birthday, but you could just let us all sing a song for you and say, we're glad you're in our lives, numb nuts.
Sing the fried chicken song.
Well, it's been my honor and privilege. That's all I can say. So now that you managed to embarrass me, now let's try and get out of the barrel and stay.
So let's tell them real quick. Together we are doing a podcast, the Shaman and Philosopher podcast, in which Ricardo has been using these aforementioned connections to bring us independent researchers, which is really, guys, that was a theme of this weekend, independent researchers, and Ricardo has us right in the mix of it. So there, Ricardo, tell them about our podcast and where to find it.
Sure. So podcast is the sister podcast from this wonderful Universe Unveiled on the Institute for Natural Philosophy. It's done, as you said, by me and you. We had 6-7 episodes so far, or
8? Did we release 8 while I was out there?
8.
Yeah,
okay.
8 came out with One-Eyed Giant this weekend. It sure did.
So we already have 4 more to put out, and
already in the can.
Yeah.
And ideas of what we got to film this week. So it's barreling along.
Sure. And we still have the the 2 additional episodes with George and Rick Osmond
Mhm.
that you still have to schedule. But not to delay this too much more. So my name is Ricardo Calvario, because you haven't heard my name today yet. So here it is again. And you can find me at X on Ricardo Calvary 1. And I have a channel on YouTube too that is History, Myths and Legends, where you can find things that I did before I've been in the podcast with Jason. And if you're interested, I have 2 books that are called Stardust and The Resonant Earth that you can both find on Amazon. So I think, thank you for inviting me, Sarah and Jacqueline, and eager to see what you have to present us.
Thank you. Let me
Well.
just get my screen up here.
Give her Dolly.
So, as my turn to present creeped upon me, I immediately knew what I wanted to cover. The problem is, it's not going to make me any friends. Maybe 1 or 2.
I'll be your friend.
So, with that being said,
I don't know
I'm
why
not
you would say
trying.
that.
I'm not trying to change anyone's spiritual beliefs. This is just just an overview, just something for you to put in your pipe and smoke it. It's meant a lot to me on my journey, and I wanted to share it with everyone because I know a lot of people are on this same type of journey, and this makes sense to me. And so I just want to make this available to everyone. So we're going to be talking about Dolores Cannon today. She is a quantum hypnosis therapist. She does past life regressions. She's written a bunch of books and stuff. So we're going to be talking about awakening through time, reincarnation, and beyond.
Now, this is stuff I talk about on the regular, even over dinner with friends.
Yes.
So I'm not sure why you're saying it's not going to make you friends. And Sarah, while I stopped you, let me just say what had me excited about it, and I hope it does, folks at home, is that this was a big thing for you. This played a big part in your story. Okay, and so for that reason, I'm excited, and everyone else should be too. This is good.
Yeah, and we got a lot of ground to cover,
Let's
so
go.
I'm gonna do as much of it as I can and try not to cut out any important stuff. And I got myself a guideline here so I don't take any detours. So why are we here? Where do we go when we die? And what does it all mean? Today, we're going to ponder the big questions by exploring the fascinating work of Dolores Cannon, a pioneering hypnotherapist and author whose groundbreaking research on reincarnation has captivated audiences worldwide.
I like that
Dolores Cannon,
visual.
yeah. Dolores Cannon was an American hypnotherapist, author, and pioneer of quantum healing hypnosis technique, a method for accessing deep trance states to explore past lives, heal the body, and connect with higher consciousness. Through her innovative quantum healing hypnosis technique, which is going to just be QHHT from this point forward, Cannon uncovered profound insights into past lives, the soul's journey, and the mysteries of reincarnation. And this presentation will explore the transformative ideas that she shared about the eternal nature of consciousness. And let's begin this journey into the realms of the soul. Ooh.
My favorite realm.
Right, same. She began teaching QHHT in 2002 to empower others as practitioners. She had over 50 years of sessions with thousands of clients. She wrote 17, and it might be more than 17 books. I think she wrote
Jeez.
19.
Wow.
That's a lot of books, and they're
Mhm.
still coming out. She's still releasing books, even though she's dead. So, yeah.
Bless her.
She died in 2014. Her daughter Julia has continued her research, and she releases some of the unpublished material from time to time.
Okay.
So that's been pretty interesting. Dolores emphasized reincarnation, multidimensional realities, extraterrestrial involvement in human evolution, and humanity's shift toward a higher vibrational new Earth. Cannon viewed Earth as a challenging school for souls where free will intersects with pre-planned soul contracts to foster growth. Her ideas have faced skepticism for their fringe elements, such as alien narratives. So let's explore these teachings individually. Reincarnation and the soul's journey. Let's go over that. Cannon taught that souls reincarnate across lifetimes to learn lessons, resolve karma, and evolve toward enlightenment. Each incarnation is a deliberate choice planned in the spirit world with life scripts that include challenges, relationships, and growth opportunities. Between lives, souls review progress in a non-judgmental council or holographic life review, accessing the Akashic records. So, for those who don't know, the Akashic Records is a universal library of all souls' experiences, thoughts, and emotions to gain wisdom. Death is not an end, but a transition, with spirits often choosing to walk into new bodies midlife if the original soul departs. The Akashic Records are a mystical concept of a universal archive originating from the Sanskrit Akasha in Vedic traditions and formalized by Theosophy in the 19th century. Influenced by Hindu and Buddhist and Western esoteric ideas, the concept was popularized by figures like Blavatsky, Steiner, Casey, and Cannon, each adding unique interpretations. Cannon's contribution lies in integrating the records into QHHT, framing them as a tool for past life regression and multidimensional insights. That may be the fastest explanation of the Akashic Records ever.
Yeah.
Concise.
Yeah. Her second teaching, at the core of her method, is inducing a somnambulistic trance, which is the deepest hypnosis state akin to theta brainwave
No.
just before sleep. So that
Yeah.
right before you fall asleep, but you're still coherent, there's a little sweet spot right there you got to get to.
There is.
And you do this to bypass the conscious mind and communicate with the subconscious,
Yeah.
an all-knowing aspect of the self connected to source or God.
Yeah.
Please don't get caught up on terms here.
Right.
I don't care if you call it God, source, the abominable snowman. I don't care.
Right. Well,
Um,
on any of this, Sarah, let
yeah.
me just please echo because it hit me a second ago. Any of these terms, calling it a school, calling it whatever, they're all just the terms. But all of it
Yes.
is echoing with my experience, especially if I don't get hung up on these terms here. It's echoing with my experience,
Yeah, once you drop the terms, things tend to make more sense.
Things
Or it did
exist
for
with
me.
or without words, don't they, Sarah? And
Yes.
we just do our best to put words to them, to try to describe the thing that is there regardless of the words.
Sure.
Right.
It's the individual experience that kind of dictates the interpretation, right?
Yeah.
So,
But this state, she describes it. Listen, you can find this state wide awake, especially
Yep.
by a fire.
The flickering of the fire does something. I've
Yes,
read about
ma'am.
that before too.
Yes, ma'am. If you can just get all of your material focus on that, and like you're looking at one of those pictures that clarifies when you look at it after time, right? If you can do that with all of your physical and mental sort of focus, and you already know about other, you've sorted out self and other up here, then yeah, you can just
You can get there.
sit in there. Yep.
Yep. So during sessions, clients access past lives for healing unresolved traumas. They receive guidance on current issues and witness spontaneous physical cures as the subconscious manipulates energy. Cannon stressed that healing requires the client's subconscious permission and alignment with their soul's purpose, not blind faith.
Yeah.
Blind faith will not get you there.
Yeah. It's so true. And sometimes things that are aligned with our purpose, that hits me because look, people people get mad when I tell them that God broke my toe. If I say I stubbed my toe and it's because God needed me on my ass for 2 days, and I could sit on my ass for 2 days and I could watch something happen out there and go, I'd have been there. Right. And people get angry and they go, no, God doesn't do bad things. And go, yeah. If my soul's path and purpose needs me sitting down, he's going to get me sitting down.
Part of your script.
It's right. And
Yeah.
this free will gives us places to move and go and do all of that. And when we learn to work with that script, then boy, that's when you start to see what you can do in this place. But yeah, before that, if you're decided and you've given it, him, however we're putting it here, your will, then yeah, you've said, keep me on script. Right. That's
Yep.
part of that prayer, that third step prayer when you're going, I can't fucking do it. Okay. Whatever's out there, you do it, right? Yeah.
That's wanting your highest path for yourself.
Correct.
That's
Correct. And when you
yeah,
dedicate yourself to that, then they're going to do their part too, and keep you on what you asked to be on.
absolutely. Moving right along, extraterrestrial volunteers and Earth shifts. Now, this is where people get mad because mostly they get hung up on the term extraterrestrial. Well, if it doesn't live on Earth, if it's not native to Earth, it is an extraterrestrial. That's all that means. So let's not get caught up on terms. Canon sessions revealed extraterrestrial souls incarnating as volunteers in 3 waves to assist humanity during a planetary ascension. Now, I feel like the way that this is laid out, I feel like you can be part of any wave. Everyone's life path is so different that I think that this is a very oversimplified way of looking at it. But the first wave is your early pioneers. They were born in 1940 to
The
1960.
beats,
They
the beat
yeah,
generation. Yeah.
yeah. They feel alienated, often struggling with density. The second wave, born in the 70s and 80s, which would be all of us, right?
Mhm.
More adapted, but still sensing homesickness for other realms.
Yep.
The third wave is the crystal or indigo children.
Yep.
So that would be our children.
Yep.
Highly intuitive, and they're here to anchor the light and do it all different.
Yes. Yes. And yes.
Now, you can be born any year and fall somewhere else. So
If you
I
didn't
just want
have
to,
those terms, Sarah, and you lived our lives and you had your children like I have my children, then you would see that what she's putting words to is a reality unfolding.
yep.
Go.
So these volunteers, along with background people or souls in supporting roles, help raise Earth's vibration from 3D fear-based to 5D love-based, a new Earth. Splitting reality so awakened souls transition while others remain in the old paradigm. ETs act as guides, not invaders, seeding human DNA and preparing for this shift. So that's your spirit guide, what have you.
Mm-hmm. The,
The weird thing in your dreams, that it.
the individuated
I call
consciousness.
mine.
Go ahead. What?
I call mine my spirit uncle.
Nice.
Spirit uncle.
It's my spirit uncle.
Sky Daddy.
Mine's definitely a spirit uncle.
So and Jason, you're gonna love this.
I've loved
How
every
many
bit.
steps do we have here? How
We've
many
got
steps do we have here?
12. Just as in
The 12?
the 12 steps of AA. That's right.
Yep.
Which should
12
be
steps will get you there.
in Human 101, honestly, guys. When I sat there and I didn't know anything about AA until I was there for recovery, it was just like 8 years ago or whatever. And they throw me down in that room and I just look at that list and I read it and I go, huh, that should be an elementary school. That's like Human Soul 101. Maybe I will all right, what are they saying? Let me listen to this, for sure. Anyway,
Yep.
let's go with these 12 stages.
So Cannon outlined a progressive awakening process often triggered by global events or personal crises leading to self-realization and service. They are as follows.
Shamanic calling. Another term for that. That's a
Yes.
shamanic calling. Yep.
Yeah, and this, I mean, and I've talked a little bit about my own experience on here a little bit. I've not gone too deep into it, but when I was going through that, I found this. Um, I had to do a Google search to figure out what was going on. I had no idea.
Of course you did. Of
So,
course you did.
and not consciously, but so the first thing is the initial stirrings of spiritual consciousness, often triggered by significant life events like personal loss, a feeling of emptiness, or it can be an NDE. It involves questioning beliefs, encountering synchronicities, and exploring spiritual practices, which can bring feelings of isolation, but lays the groundwork for growth. So when I'm experiencing this, I'm thinking to myself, this is what people who have NDEs are talking about. This is what they're describing, but I've not had an NDE, so what gives? Well, personal crisis or just being the lowest you've ever been can do it.
Yes.
So,
That is
and
the pain is the secret sauce, It really is.
yeah, you won't get there without hardship.
Right.
If your life is easy, you'll never find it.
Right.
So it all has a purpose in the end. And then you have seeking, a phase driven by deep curiosity and inner relentlessness to uncover answers about reality, the soul, and purpose. It involves searching for spiritual teachings, books, or mentors, and exploring different paths, similar to clients in Cannon's regression sessions, uncovering insights from multiple lifetimes. So you'll know that something's amiss, and you want to know, why are we all doing this 9 to 5 and just grinding it out? Like, what's the point of
Right.
this? Like, what's the purpose, so I can get that done and get the hell out of here?
Right.
Like,
Well, as
that's where you go.
this design, you're talking to us about this path, right? And that's the moment. The path has you here to walk through this place so that you understand it, right? Intuitively, you see the hardship, you see whatever your path needed you to see, right? And then there's going to come this moment that I call a shamanic calling, you call awakening, everybody call it crises, the rock bottom, different things, right? But that's that point, that's that moment in the script when they're going to pull you out, right? And pull you up to
Break that
what you
mold.
came here to be, which is closer to 5 dimension, right? Break the mold, and then be here where we are now, outside of the mold, and trying to put shit together.
Yep. So, questioning, challenging long-held beliefs, societal norms, and accepted truths. It involves asking deep questions about life and deconstructing conditioned thinking, leading to liberation and expansion of consciousness, as seen in Cannon's clients confronting past lives and higher beings.
Mhm.
And there's that conditioned thinking. Once you realize how much of your life is programmed or conditioned, that things that you're doing a certain way, that you've done it that way, and you're like, why do we do it that way all of a
Yes.
sudden?
Yes.
Why? Self discovery, turning inward to explore the true self beyond the ego, peeling away conditioning and labels. It includes questioning core identity and soul desires, often aided by past life regression, to uncover patterns and purpose, revealing authentic essence. So, know thyself.
Yeah.
That's part of it.
And the past life
Um,
stuff is, Sarah, again, I'm just going to echo you here. Keep going. But this is my experience. I know it's y'all's experience too, right? And so really, I don't know anything about Miss Cannon. I don't know why anybody, personally, I've never looked into her. I don't know why people would have issue, but you're talking to me about my experience so far.
yep. That's why we're here. Because when I read this, it reframed everything for me in a way that rocked my whole world. So,
Yeah.
um, healing. This was completely unanticipated for me, and I remember the day that I was walking through my house and just thinking about everything I learned, and then I said, "Holy shit!" Like, all that stuff that used to just, I would ruminate on, people who did me wrong or things that were unjustified, or I realized I had not thought about that in days, and I said, "Holy shit, I'm healing."
Yep.
And that was my first interaction with healing. I didn't know what healing was until
Yep.
that moment.
It's like, oh, I don't care no more.
Yeah,
It is.
yeah,
It's
it
no
Yeah.
was.
no fucks given is the way we say it. I
Yeah,
really,
yeah.
Yep,
yeah. Go ahead.
Yeah, yeah.
there were
And
bigger fish to fry.
yes, and I feel that, I mean, that's a revelation for anyone,
It
but
is.
in particular, and I think Sarah will understand what I'm saying without having to go into too much detail. As a woman,
Hmm.
the day you
Yes.
wake up and say, I don't give a shit anymore,
Hmm.
is like the wildest day.
Now the
When you,
second part of your life can happen.
that's right. The real authentic you comes to the forefront. And it's like you've just been carrying her around waiting for that day.
Yep.
And there's something about, from a feminine experience for me, that I've never heard men talk about. And I'm sure they have their own version of it. But
Mhm.
as a woman, that I remember that day also. It's like before and after
Mhm.
that particular
Yep.
day. And
Mhm.
it's just like you just become yourself, and it's a wild thing. And
It
Yep.
is.
and having been a young person in the time when there's internet and there's so much social influence, um, I feel like it was like the most liberating day.
It
Yeah.
is. I think there's definitely a guy version. I mean, way back.
Oh, I have no doubt. I have no doubt.
Yeah.
Yeah.
all of us having this desire, whether it's through our physical expression, like for me, getting to grow the beard and grow my hair out became like a big thing, right? Because then I started to like, all of a sudden I was walking around and I didn't care who was looking at me, you know, and I didn't look in a mirror, you know, these little tiny things that are really huge when, like you say, all of a sudden you notice that I don't look in mirrors anymore, right? What does that mean? What has changed in here? That means that, as you say, a lot of this has shut off. The way I describe
Yep.
it is this experience is where the brain gets put in its right fucking place, right? We
Well,
live
you cease living for the sake of others, and you live more for your purpose and
all
your
of
true
that.
self. Yeah.
Everything gets aligned and put in its right place.
Hmm.
Right? That's what it feels like anyway. This brain that has always been all consuming or always shutting, all of a sudden it's like shutting the fuck up, you know, unless you ask
Yeah.
it a question and go, hey, come on over here. Let's analyze this.
Yeah. It certainly doesn't mean that all your inner troubles or, qualms are settled, but it
Right.
definitely creates the space where you can attack those things authentically.
It's like
And
suddenly being in an open room when you were closed before. That's a good
yes.
way. Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely. We have next integration, aligning life with newfound awareness by blending spiritual insights into everyday thoughts, actions, and decisions. It includes making changes like releasing toxic habits and living in harmony with soul purpose, emphasizing that true growth involves practical application. That's where you hit a point where you're just like, let's cut the shit and let's get back to who we were before we were damaged goods,
Amen.
before we decided that we weren't worth it anymore. Let's go back there. Um, that's getting in touch with your inner child.
Yes.
So, yeah. And then service to others, a shift from personal growth to helping others, driven by a sense of duty to share knowledge and healing. It involves supporting collective evolution, as many of Cannon's clients felt compelled to assist others after their own transformation. Does anyone on this panel feel personally attacked by that?
No, ma'am.
Personally attacked.
It's
I'm over
yeah,
here personally fucking identifying with it. You know, I'm over here
Yeah,
going,
yeah.
that's
I
right.
yeah,
mean,
that's
if you're coming at it from sarcastic, I
Yeah,
feel like you're speaking about each of us.
look, what did Christ say? You just said it's childlike, right? Finding that inner child. What did Christ say? You must be like these to enter the kingdom, right? Okay. So we all already know that. What else was supposed to piss me off? The past life stuff? No, that's real. That's definitely real. Look, when I was working on Hernando de Soto and Tuscaloosa and all that, I'm walking through these lands, you know, and I'm trying to get in touch with my native spiritual heritage, right? Anything like that. And I'm walking through these swamps and like I'm walking, you know, between Mobilla and Attahachie, and I'm like, you know, I'm going to do this on foot. What starts happening? Because I'm making my connection, right, in my consciousness, because I'm on a long walk. What starts happening is I start getting flashes. I can see the fucking army. I can see those horses trying to get through this swamp. You know, I start going, that's why it took them 2 fucking days. You know, you can start running through these creeks, and I start getting experiences of, oh, being a little kid. You know, I can start seeing
yep,
women playing right in these creeks, native people, you know, it's not just about, you know, I could stand and watch somewhere and go connect me, and I could see a battle unfold in front of me. Right now, I identify that with past life. A lot of people might just say God showed you or whatever. But to me, that was
yeah,
past life knowledge coming in. When I was going through
could
this
be.
process personally, and let's keep moving. But guys, I told you about dancing in the garage the other night, you know, on our little chat. Okay, when I'm first going through this process, you know, and I'm out in the garage and I've already learned to connect with higher power, it's a consciousness outside of me. They're always here. They're always fucking watching. You know, I'm in that phase of sorting all that out. And the song comes on the radio. I forget which one. I Want to Get Better, I think, by the Bleachers. And out of nowhere, in my fucking garage, I clap, I spin, I mean, fucking Fred Astaire, right? And I'm like, where the fuck did that come from, right? And
Woo!
I'm like, let me see if I can. First of all, I got to get away from all the stuff. Let me see if I can do that again. Let me get back there. Where's the beat? You know, and there it is. And I knew instantly I was a dancer, something, I was a performer somewhere. Cause in this life, when I trained as an actor and it came time for dance class, no, I came up with something else. You know, can I do a
Yeah,
mime bit, you know, or whatever, right? So that for me was one of those moments where like, this is knowledge that I acquired other than this experience because I just did it like a pro, right?
and it's just there. You don't have to learn it.
Correct.
Which brings us to expanded consciousness. accessing higher states of awareness and connecting with the higher self for universal knowledge. It features stronger intuition, synchronicities, and a broader perception of reality, transcending physical limitations through insights from multiple dimensions and lifetimes. You ever just know something, but you don't know how you know?
Yep.
That it.
This is the
Um,
stage where you can go crazy. So you got to be ready for this stage because you described it perfectly. It starts
it gets a
manifesting
little dicey. Yep.
outside and inside, and you're going, all right, what mind control program am I fucking part of? You know? Mm-hmm.
Yep. Is this real life?
Right.
We have intuition and guidance next. Sharpening of the intuition and reliance on inner guidance over external influences. It involves trusting the higher self and spiritual guides for clarity, as experienced by Cannon's clients post-regression, leading to accurate insights and confident decision making.
That's it.
I
Um,
always think of this section as like it's like the becoming. You know what I mean?
yes,
Like you become yourself. And I don't know that stage ever, I feel like it's ongoing. It's not something that necessarily comes to a close. It shouldn't
right.
in any case. Yeah. But I always sum all that up. And it's really easy to slide off of this portion and kind of become confused again. But as long as you like continuously refocus and you work on that intuition and trust yourself, you just keep becoming, which
This
is a
is
nice thought.
Yeah,
this is the trusting portion, right? Where you're learning to, you just said the word intuition, right? And getting in connection with your higher self and these spiritual entities. That is this shift that's happening right now, whatever people think of this presentation, it's fucking happening, right? And we're learning to rely on that in the noise and in the chaos that this machine is already screaming at us, and as this world, is going to start to scream at us. This connection is going to be what guides us through, right?
yes.
This is key. This is the reason for it.
And the thing about this one too is that this is the point at which you're going to lose some friends,
Yeah, isolation.
because you not only are you going to isolate yourself, but you're going to see people's true intentions through the insights that you are getting.
Right.
Mhm.
So you will see who is not really on your team, and with
Sure.
that knowledge, you have to put it into practice and set a boundary there sometimes.
You will lose people.
So
Yeah.
you will have to let some people go that are not
all
really
right.
on your team,
You
and
will.
that's
It's all right.
fine, and you'll be able to do it,
Yeah.
but they're not going to be happy about it. Let me just put it that way.
Marriages,
Makes
partners.
for a great weight loss program.
It does.
Yeah.
What is it?
Yep.
The more that I lose, the easier I move, and I've never ever felt so blessed. Right?
Yep.
That's it. The more you lose, the easier you move. And because you're in this process, this step of learning to trust, you are making decisions not based on outside. You're learning to trust this connection, right? And so you're gaining each of these experiences. When this connection tells you to do something and the whole world tells you to do something else, and you go and do what that connection tells you to do, you now have more trust because you saw it work out, right? You now understand this thing talking to you, it moves shit out here, right? It knew what was going to fucking happen. And I listened to it
Yep.
and it worked. So I'm going to do that again tomorrow, and you keep doing that and you're developing that trust, but between you and him, as I describe it, but however you describe it, right? You're developing that trust in each other, and it just keeps growing from there. It's like anything else. We talk a lot of science. It's just like an experiment you do for yourself. That's what he, told me early on was, no, I need you solid. I need you to run every fucking test. I need you to question. I need you to tell me to fuck off. I need you to whatever. I need you to know this shit is real, right? And I need
Yeah.
you to be solid. And that's what I think gets missed by a lot of people. They go, oh, I'm not supposed to question. I'm not supposed to whatever. No. Because you're going to put your everything on this connection, right? I put my fucking
Yes.
kids, my life, right? I walked away from people. I let people walk away from me. I said no to a lot of things that I wanted, right? Because this thing was telling me not to, so I had to have a trust. There had to be a process in there where we got solid, like you would with any friendship, right? With any crew, with
Yep.
whatever. There's going to be a process where everybody involved is like, we're going to get to know each other. We're going to fucking count on this thing. Right. And that's what I found with God. And then whatever, you know, word you guys want to use, it's crucial here is that you go through this process you're telling us about.
Yeah, and what you're doing is you're making a dialogue with God, your higher self, whatever you want to call it. You're forming a give and take conversation there is what you're doing.
I think
So,
there's two things. I think higher self is a real thing. You know, you've mentioned souls walking in midlife, and that I wrote that note because that to me kind of also sounds like you opening to your higher self, which is a
yes.
very real thing. And I think it is also in my experience anyway, very distinct from what I call him, right? Or shithead, depending on what he's doing to me that day, right? There's a distinct thing. There is a higher self that we grow into and we can learn to connect and sort of bring down here or bring us up to, right? And that then becomes ourself. But
Yep.
there's still all the higher individuated consciousnesses that are also available to us.
Yep.
Okay.
So where were we at? Manifestation. Consciously creating reality using spiritual laws like the law of attraction, recognizing thoughts and emotions as powerful tools. It aligns desires with the higher self for abundance and purpose, as taught by Cannon, in helping clients release limiting beliefs. Unity consciousness, realization of interconnectedness among all beings, dissolving the illusion of separation. It fosters compassion and love, understanding shared soul journeys across lifetimes, as emphasized in Cannon's teachings on reincarnation and collective evolution. Mastery and service, achieving mastery over consciousness and devoting life to selfless service for the greater good. It involves full integration of lessons, living with peace and wisdom to guide others, embodying the shift from personal to collective, upliftment as described in Cannon's work. Now, don't get mastery and service, don't get that word mastery confused with done. It does not mean that you're done. You're never done. You will never have complete mastery over it, but it is cyclical. So you'll go through these steps and then you'll walk it again and again and again, and there's that spiral.
Well,
So it really is a
all of this, these steps, right? And all the years and the pain and all the worst days and best days of your life that it encompasses is just the training course, right?
yes.
That's to get you ready to go to run the mission, you know.
I would say that I look at those steps and I notice that there are no numbers in it. However, on the text above it, it says progressive. I would say that none of them are sequential. They can happen, any of them can happen in any different time. It doesn't follow a sequence. And,
Yes.
perhaps the objective is to get to the final one. That is when you master all of the steps. You don't master yourself or reality in full, but you start mastering and recognizing the steps, and you can
Right.
realize when you're going through each one of the steps because you achieve that last step where you recognize all of them and you see them happening. And as you said, it's a constant process of learning. But through all of those steps, but it requires to get the last one, that in order to realize what you're going through and know what to do in each situation. That basically is, it's not knowing, it's just doing. Do not think, just act. So
Think long, think wrong.
yeah, I would
Yeah.
translate all of those into what I call emotional intelligence, where you stop
Yes.
thinking and you are try to be in a constant state of connection with what you were calling the Akashic records. And the thing that I don't agree with Dolores is the same thing I don't agree with the rest of them. That is the fact that you try to reach mastery of yourself that includes understanding the world not only for its physical but from non-physical existence, and then you go away, and it doesn't make any sense to me. Why after going through all those steps should humans go old and die. It doesn't make any sense to return where? You are building the new earth here, the paradise here, right? So why leave? Because this is where the fun is, at least the fun that we know physically to exist, right? So it's the desire to depart to what they call the source that doesn't make sense to me, because here is where the work is being done. This is where you are learning about yourself, right? With the sum of all of the experience and all those that you encounter through your life. Doesn't matter if they are friends or enemies or whatever, you are learning for all of them. Like Loki says, I consider experience. It doesn't matter if it is a victory or a defeat. It's all experience. And you are building yourself. It's like perfecting the project. And when
Yes.
the project achieved perfection and it can only grow knowing all of that, but it's already at its maximum, although it doesn't stop learning, but it's already at its maximum, and you say, okay, next project. It doesn't make sense to me. It's the only
Well,
part that I don't agree.
you you do keep growing, right? I mean, so if your singular soul is over many lifetimes, then that singular soul is continuing to grow, is the first thing I say to that, right?
Yes.
Especially now, imagine if in each lifetime I am becoming aware of my past ones a little bit, right? So now in each lifetime, I'm really integrating. So now I am doing more. I can do more in this place, Ricardo, where there's to be done. Now, if you want to just sort of play out for a second, talk about what we could build on Earth. Imagine, Ricardo, if you could build for your lifetime, you know, in this set of circumstances you've been given, right? You could build, you could go, and then once you've achieved for not only your inner self, but here on this particular project enough, you could then die, as we call it, or whatever, but pick up another set of circumstances in another body that contributes to the same project immediately, right? And in a few years, by the time you're 7, 8, or 10 and ready to get back near this project, you recall precisely that you were over here and you did all this, and you're now able to, again, get back to work on that project
Okay, but
in a better equipped scenario,
okay, but
right?
imagine a very arrogant uh, uh, perspective. That is,
Okay.
some people require an endless number of lifetimes, and they still remain as physical as possible. They
Okay.
just come here and they just exist, like what some people now are calling the NPCs
NPCs.
or
Yeah.
whatever. It's whatever.
Background people.
Yeah.
So to me, it's just people that are what the system made them. So
Giving away their agency to the system.
they are
Yes.
completely based on their brains. They rely on their brains to do everything in their lives, right? While the brain, to me, is just here to regulate the body and serve as antenna. That's all it does. But imagine that in arrogance, imagine that you can achieve all of these steps in just one go,
Okay.
right? Why leave? Because if you leave and you come back, you you will be doing the same thing that you are doing now. There is constantly meeting new people, constantly learning, constantly having experience, constantly evolving, constantly trying to help others around you. Sometimes you don't. You do the other one, the contrary. But it's all experience that if you come back, you will repeat again and
Why
again
why
and
why have
again.
why have multiple people? Why have multiple humans at all? I see your point. So why have multiple humans at all then?
No, well, that would lead us to the question: where do souls come from, right? Because if you consider the number of people
I don't think so. I mean,
that
I think
have
where you're
died,
going,
yeah, but if you consider the number of people have died, first of all, this is the philosophical discussion there is.
yeah, we
Was
derailed to our type show, didn't we? We're getting in Sarah's way here with
sorry,
the shaman and
No,
philosopher. I'm
y'all are
sorry.
good.
It's
Y'all are
habit.
good.
my question is just: was there a predetermined number of souls, or are souls constantly being created? If they are constantly being created, then reincarnation is a minority on this situation, because souls are keeping being created. So in the reincarnation, you have to assume that there are a limited number of souls. Otherwise, it it wouldn't, because you know that the world now is growing to some 11 billion or 8 billion. I don't know how many
Right.
humans.
8 or
8 or
9
9.
somewhere.
Okay.
Yeah.
But studies has shown, they say overpopulation. Studies have shown that every time we reach a key number, populations decrease dramatically because it's self-regulated, right?
Yeah.
So if there are many people, does that mean that there are a lot of people on the bus station waiting to reincarnate because there's no place available, right? It's in terms of connecting the spiritual and the physical, it's complicated in this mathematical sense. I know that people will say God works in mysterious ways and God can be whatever you want, right? So he can do whatever he wants.
I
But
think what you're describing, Ricardo, I think I hear you. I think what you're describing is what we're here to try to establish, and what a lot of people might refer to as the kingdom. They say bring the kingdom to earth, right? I think what you're describing is an environment, right, where everyone has understood, as we understand, how this place works. If everyone is in place with these things Sarah's breaking down for us, right, and you've had generations of people being raised up, understanding what this place is, coming back and being taught, right off the bat, oh, this is where you're going. Now, Ricardo, once that sort of is upon the earth, then you could imagine an immortality. You could start to imagine an immortal human being a beneficial thing, right? I mean, is where
exactly,
you're going.
exactly.
But I think first we've got to get it there, right? Like I understand where you're going now. I do.
Yeah, but if you already got there, imagine someone that really got there, right? Let's imagine
But you're imagining someone, right? You've
Saitama
got to get
Gautama. I don't remember
the
his name.
game itself, the
Buddha.
matrix itself on our
Yeah.
side. And once it's set up that way, then we can come in and have immortal humans, right? Until then, you've got to make whatever system that's about the individual development. It's also got to be about getting this fucking place in the right environment for us all to come in full knowledge,
Because if you go to Hinduism, they try to achieve nirvana to become nothing.
Right.
And that doesn't make any sense to me at all. At all.
Right.
Because you don't evolve, you don't see that replicated anywhere in nature. You don't evolve to then become nothing. Right?
Well, they're behind us, right? We're a further wave of development. What they were talking about is what Sarah already described to us. That nothing, that be the void. That's what you know, and you say don't think. That's what all they're talking about is achieving that state that we are learning to fucking walk around with, right? That's the difference.
Yeah.
That whole be the nothing was. They took a whole lifetime to figure out how to turn their goddamn brains off,
Yeah.
and
Because
here we are acing it in our 40s.
If you imagine everybody being at their highest state of evolution, and again, they keep learning, they keep experiencing, they keep evolving, but there's the peak level or the threshold that you achieve to be at mastery of what is to exist, of the meaning of life and all of that.
Full awareness.
So
yeah.
if everybody reached to that point, obviously we wouldn't have overpopulation, we wouldn't have hunger, disease would be much diminished because people would learn how to control their bodies, and children would be much less, instead of people that having 5, 6, 7 kids or whatever. It would be something that each one would manage to think and reach the conclusion when it's time to have a child or not, because we know that the child will evolve and then it will be another human being, and all the responsibility that comes with that most people don't think, oh, I just got kids and I'm already pregnant again. But my point is, at why would people have to die if the earth is perfect? Because even the second coming of Christ is to a perfect earth. Right? So it is to those that they call the chosen ones would live on earth as if it was a new paradise, right? And earth is the physical realm, and Christ is coming to the physical realm, and every as redemptor, I don't know if they say an English word, redemption figure that comes to a second coming, even Quetzalcoatl or wherever you go, it's to recreate paradise on earth. So therefore, mortality is eliminated, right? Because perfection has been achieved, right? So each of these people that discover all these processes, as Dolores Cannon is one of the best in this, they still died. And that boggles my mind. So were they really achieved the peak? Maybe not, or just remove themselves from seeing, right?
I see.
Right? Like the Dalai Lama. Why going through all over again? Why keep accepting mortality when you know that there are many reports on several esoteric knowledges to achieve exactly that, immortality? Even alchemy at some point was trying to achieve, it's not immortality, is non-mortality, because it is a different concept, although most people might think it's the same thing, right? And as Saint Germain was to say, it is not dying, it is not immortality, it's just not dying, right? Which is different, because he could replenish his body or continue to put his body to the same age through time. I'm sorry, Sarah. I'm completely
It's
diverging.
okay. I think at the end of the day, Ricardo, the way I would answer all of this is to say this place that we know and that you're talking about is really not the only show in town. And once you start getting access to these higher levels and dimensions, right, you start to understand that not only are there levels where you could not have a body and still be part of this show, right? We call them ascended masters, we call them angels, right? We call them spirit, that you could choose to go next time, come work on this project called Earth, but do it from the other side, because you did enough here. You got to an awareness level. But also, again, this is sort of a main project, but once you're over there, imagine, it's hard to describe, right? Because there's no we don't have terms, but just try to wrap your head around, if you went to work on a project, right? That project is not your whole, that's not everything. That's just the work project, right?
Sure.
So once you get outside of that, the only way I know to say it is there's a lot of other projects and there's a lot of other things too, all levels of reality besides the
Yes, Jason,
primary one at the moment.
but when Sarah is playing Zelda, or people are playing GTA 5 or Red Dead Redemption or whatever, they know that they are in another reality, and they can act as the savior or as the devil inside those scenarios, but they still retain who they are, right? And what everything suggests us is, you come here and you are again a blank slate, and you have to all over again, has the luck to grow in a certain environment, or to have personal insight to pursue this all over again, to try and better what you did before. You see my point? It is that ignorance that boggles me, right? And these people, yes, they say I regressed and I learned from what I did in past life and so on, but all of that could be in the Akashic records. How do you know it is your life? You're just identifying with that strand of information, with that vein. You see my point? Because all the information is there, everything is there, right? So if you connect to that thread, when you establish your link to it, you will believe that you are that people, because you are seeing the records of that people experience, right? So I'm not led to assume on past lives. I have difficulty to accept it.
One thing that I do want to mention, though, to go back to your question about why die, is that she does talk about basically you have a meeting and you go over, I forget what she called it, with some special counsel, and you go over everything you've learned and everything you need to work on. I mean, even who was that Mayot that would weigh your
Yeah,
The way
soul
you
against a
are.
he
feather?
was using modern terms for what's on the hieroglyphs and all the ancient Egyptian
Yeah.
temples, where your heart gets weighed and it's got to be lighter than the feather, right?
And
Who
then
among us?
maybe Dolores is living on some other planet right now. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like, for all we know, we don't know what happens after that. I don't, anyways.
Look, when my mind was trying to, when they, as I'll put it, were opening my mind to just all that could be out there, and I was trying to go as far as in that awareness as I could go, right? That's the moment I'm going to try to describe. All right. Imagine that there's so fucking much out there. The universe is so fucking big that there's a practice Earth, right? that if this mission is so important, there's another one where the scenarios can be set up almost identical to here. And you can go do a whole lifetime there just to make sure when you get here, it's fucking on point, right? Now, I'm not saying that's a reality. What I'm describing to you is trying to describe to you is a feeling and sort of a picture and a knowing that was put on me on how vast what we call physical reality is, right? And they were trying to get my head, that's the only way they could get my head to wrap around it. Well, just imagine if we had a couple of these places where we practiced before you came here. And I'm like, you know, and I could try to
Yeah, but
absorb
Jason, you
the
are here.
size.
You are here. Your mission is
Well, my
obviously
mission's
here.
here. Obviously, this is now is always now. Now is always the important thing. That's when you're getting opened up to past life. The dude that helped me start seeing it, the shaman, dude, he sat me down, you know. And as we're opening up, and I'm starting to go, oh yeah, he grabs you, you know, and he goes, but what matters now? Fucking now is what matters, right? All of this that I'm being opened up to, it's so that I'm more equipped for now.
Yeah,
right?
it's just that I feel that the perception either is at a lower level or even at the outmost level of reincarnation is an excuse to say, oh, I can do better next time, right? It doesn't push you to do everything you can here because, oh, I have many lives to come back and learn and continue the process. Right.
That's why some of those steps are actually sequential. She didn't number them, but listen, some of those steps are sequential. And this past life stuff, it's not going to get thrown on you until some of those trust steps have been gone through, right? Until you're at a certain level with this force where where they understand, right? You want to be on the path and you want to be kept on it, right? And you get to a certain level, then this knowledge that she describes starts getting opened up to you, right? You are prepared for each level, just like a class, a school.
If you've mastered the curriculum, you wouldn't continue going to that high school.
Right. They wouldn't let
would
you
go
out of
to
the high school.
college.
Right.
You'd go to college. You'd go to a different
It's
school.
like, Ricardo, if we were FBI, if you're an FBI agent, right? How many years? You got to go through 4 years of school, then you got to go through training at FBI, all this before I set you out in the field to be an FBI agent, right? You know, you get out in the field to be the FBI agent. You don't suddenly go, hey, I could go back to school, you know, and no. But you've got to go, once you go through that, I put you in the field and now you're here in your life, fully equipped. You've got all the knowledge that you got in the school, but now you got to get out here and do your fucking job.
Yes, but think of this. Let's think of the ages of the old Bible or the ages of the Sumeria king list and so on and so forth. If you imagine that a person that reached a certain level of evolution, she can make spectacular things in 800 years of existence, right? Where people are concentrated mostly in 80. The thing is, yes, there will be many people that if they lived 1,000 years, they'll be the same Joe and the same Mary they've been all of their lives, right? Is that wrong? I don't know. I really don't know if that's wrong, if that's what they like. The problem is most of these people are miserable all of their life, and they will be miserable for 1,000 years. So
that's why it's not possible, because God's not going to allow misery to exist for 1,000 years. That's not perfection.
Well, God allows entire planets to explode. So I think you see it's like the bishop that is at the siege of this city, and the guy comes to him and says, "My lord, there's hundreds, if not thousands, of Christians inside. What shall we do? Kill them all. God will know its own." So it's the same thing. Although this was a very evil man, of course, but in terms of God, it's this perception that it really doesn't matter if you live or die. It doesn't matter because everything is one. There is no death. And if there is no death, it doesn't matter because it's all a cycle. You see my point? So what I'm saying...
I see, because you're dependent right now upon material being slightly primary, and this isn't good or bad. But what you're putting forth, you're not understanding, is because I believe you're coming from material being a little more primary than spiritual. You're saying this place, right? This material realm, if this is the key, then why go away?
No,
right?
I am the spirit using this physical body.
Yeah.
And I like the experience. And I think that I can do much more in 800 years than I can do in 100.
Because we got to put you in another body and get you to do it with one arm and parents that hate you, because that's going to make you even fucking stronger next time,
And
bro.
start all over
That's
again. No,
exactly
thank you.
it.
I like this. Sarah, continue. Otherwise,
Sarah,
this will not stop.
Sarah, go, girl.
Okay, we're done with the steps now.
You see why we fucking started a
Yeah.
podcast? Sorry, ladies, we hijacked it, didn't we?
No, it's good banter. Like, I like the dynamic there. Historical and esoteric insights. Through regressions, Cannon uncovered lost knowledge such as Jesus training with the Essenes, a secretive Jewish sect, emphasizing purity, hierarchy, and esoteric healing. She portrayed Jesus' teachings as rooted in these mystery schools, focusing on inner divinity over dogma.
Which the Dead
Other
Sea
sessions,
Scrolls confirmed.
yep. Other sessions explored Atlantis, ancient aliens, and parallel dimensions, reinforcing that all religions point to the same universal truth. So yeah, Jesus was in these mystery schools. Like,
So
I've been
the
saying this.
Essenes, yeah, there were three Jewish sects at the time, Hebrew sects, however you want to put it. And you always hear about the Pharisees and the Sadducees, you know, in the New Testament when Jesus is condemning them for all their adherence to the law, right? But you never hear the third sect, and that's the Essenes. And John the Baptist was an Essene, and Jesus was, you know, known to take much. The Essenes were, listen, they were shamans, basically. You know, they had a big compound, you know, outside of town, and if you wanted to come inside the compound, where you had to accept the reality that everybody didn't accept outside, that angels are literally with us, right? Interdimensional beings, whatever, they're around us, they're with us, and you had to live outside for 2 years to learn how to act that way, how we needed to act all over Earth. But they would enforce inside that compound. They were extremely spiritual. And then the Dead Sea Scrolls, yeah, come out, and we learned that that's what was up. Yeah, Jesus credited, you know, and walked that. He took what the Essenes were doing in that little compound, and he just brought it out, you know. Just like I like to say, my experience was I found this by the woods, right? And when it became time, he said, "All right, you ready to come out of the woods? I'll go with you." You know, I was like, "All right, let's fucking go." And that's what, you know, Christ did. He took what the Essenes had, and he just walked out with it, you know.
And I mean, for anyone that, like, if Jesus is your jam, I know Jesus is not everybody's jam.
Right.
She's done a couple of books about, one was called Jesus and the Essenes, and the other is called They Walked with Jesus. Both are great books. Even if that's not your cup of tea, like, I've not picked up a book that she has written and not gotten anything from it.
Sarah,
Like, you will get something from it.
I had it put to me in AA like this: is you learn real fast that sometimes or a lot of times you turn people off Jesus by saying Jesus. And what that told me,
Yeah.
when that person told me that, that's when I started identifying things versus words, right?
Yeah.
As we said in the beginning of this, things versus words, right? The reality of it doesn't matter what you call it. It's there.
Yep. Okay, here we go. Dolores Cannon's teachings. I didn't write this one down. I got to read it off the slide. Dolores Cannon's teachings, rooted in QHHT and metaphysical explorations, share core similarities with religious texts in their focus on reincarnation and humanity's spiritual evolution. Her emphasis on universal truths uniting all religions mirror synthetic traditions like theosophy.
Theosophy.
However, her integration of extraterrestrial influences multi-dimensional realities. Sorry, it's really small. And hypnosis-based techniques set her apart, giving her work a modern flavor not found in traditional scriptures. In the next slides, we'll compare these concepts with religious texts. So this ought to be fun, y'all.
Nice.
This ought to be fun.
Here we go.
Shout out Ryan Treebuddy, who y'all see in our chat. He's into theosophy, big time. He's
Okay.
yeah.
He just followed me on X.
Yeah,
the other day.
he's an excellent dude.
So I have 3 whole pages of comparing ancient texts. Y'all, I'm not going to read all these. Y'all are welcome to pause it. I know you on the panel right now can't pause it, but when you watch this on playback, you can pause it and kind of see what it's talking about, because I don't have time to go over all of them, but I also didn't want to leave anybody out. Hinduism. You have the concept of samsara. The cycle of birth, death, and rebirth aligns closely where the soul or Atman reincarnates to work through karma until achieving moksha, which is liberation. The Gita describes the soul changing bodies like clothes. Buddhism, reincarnation is central in Buddhism with the goal of escaping suffering through enlightenment or nirvana, as Ricardo mentioned. Jainism emphasizes karma and soul evolution through multiple lives. Next slide. Christianity, the kingdom of God is within you. Sufism, the concept of uniting with the divine through inner exploration, parallels Cannon's accessing the subconscious for universal truths. Taoism, the Tao is the source of all existence, resembles Cannon's source, with an emphasis on aligning with universal flow. Hinduism and Buddhism, again, a lot of Hinduism and Buddhism in her stuff. Karma is a law of cause and effect, governs life experiences with actions in one life influencing future incarnations, similar to Cannon's view of resolving past life issues. Judaism and Christianity, while not emphasizing reincarnation, the principle of reaping what you sow, which is Galatians 6:7, and facing trials for spiritual growth, James 1, verse 2 through 4, align with Cannon's idea of challenges as learning opportunities. Sikhism, the cycle of actions and consequences, shapes spiritual progress, resonating with Cannon's karmic framework. Gonna have some more Buddhism. Yep. Tibetan Book of the Dead, the Bardo realms where souls reflect to and prepare for rebirth are strikingly similar to Cannon's spirit world and life review process. Platonism and Gnosticism, the idea of a soul's journey through higher realms and accessing divine knowledge. Gnostic texts like the Pistis Sophia parallels Cannon's Akashic records and council interactions. And it just goes on and on.
Christianity, you mentioned is the only one that doesn't talk reincarnation. Honestly, reincarnation was a part of early Christianity. You mentioned the Gnostic texts. You go read these Dead Sea Scrolls. Look, it's even, as you say, in the New Testament, and you said you might get in trouble here. One thing that always gets me in trouble is the Bible, right? I don't think people like to take into account or don't really try to just think about as a normal human for a second that the book is the Bible. There was a meeting that took place, right? And that meeting was convened by the head of the Romans, okay?
The Council of Nicaea.
The Romans, all right, the ones who killed Christ, okay? And the Jewish or the Hebrew rabbis, okay? These were the people that met to decide what info should be put in the official canon and not. Okay. Now, I'm not going to assume what intentions are, but why don't you try to, knowing today, knowing America, knowing the UK, knowing the world we live in, right? Why don't you try to imagine a group of world leaders, right? Getting together. Let's call a few rabbis in, the ones that came to us and said, get rid of this trouble causer. Let's get them over here. We got to keep them happy because otherwise they'll cause trouble in the Middle East. So let them sit in on the meetings, right? Okay. And now we're going to put out the official document that everybody's going to go by. What kind of information do you think might have got filtered out? Why do you think that all of the actual Christians of the day took a whole bunch of the texts and put them in clay pots and buried them all over the deserts and caves that in 1974, 79, we get access to? Why? Why would that happen today? Why would that happen today, y'all?
We wouldn't want people discovering exactly who they are.
We wouldn't want people to have access to the fucking power that Jesus was saying they had within them. We would not. No, sir. No, sir. We're gonna get this out there because this was impactful and people want it. But we're gonna fucking trim it down and we're gonna keep people in order with it. Right? Why do you think the Essenes then went and hid the shit? Oh no, they're after the truth. Fucking, we gotta bury it. And I don't know why that's so hard for people to hear. Modern day Christians, they've been indoctrinated, and people just hammer that at them and go, this is it, in order to keep them in that little box. And what did Jesus do? Jesus didn't go in a damn building his whole time, hardly. When he did go in the building, it was to say, hey, listen, you fucking, you're not doing it right in here. All right. Fuck off. Here's how it is. Bye. And then he was out in the fields, wanted no part of the structure because he saw that structure was the problem.
I think this is a good time to introduce the wise words of Guru Pikta when he says that the Bible is just basic instructions before leaving Earth, and that the purpose of it is to get people from nowhere to now here.
Well, yeah, in many ways, right? Now, for me personally, right, from my experience of Christianity, all of these things that have been broken out here, the Hinduism, all of the different stories, for me, they're all true, and they all are brought together in what Christ did, right, and in what he was trying to do. It all comes together there, right? For me, anyway, and that's the point. There is a point to the Bible. That's what people hear when I go, "Hey, listen, this is an information that's been put to you for a particular purpose." That doesn't mean it's not true. That just means some of the true stuff that was really fucking powerful was not included, right? And that's all we're saying. Anyway, sorry, I got on a tangent.
Always welcome here. And I do want to mention the Mayan calendar, that it only ran until 2012. And as far as I know, the apocalypse didn't happen. So
Are you sure?
are you sure?
Well,
No, I'm not sure.
Well, the calendar doesn't
Birds.
actually end in 2012. It's like when you buy a calendar, it ends like in February of the next year, right? So we in 2025 still only make calendars with 13, 14 months. They did a
Right.
calendar with thousands of years. They had to stop somewhere, right? And they stopped
Of course.
where they thought we would be exactly in the ecliptic of the galaxy. So
yeah, it's like a 100-year window or
so
20-year,
yeah,
whatever it is.
so they had to stop somewhere, right? It doesn't mean it's the end. It's just, well, let those that come after to continue the calendar on, which has already done thousands of years, right?
It's the end of that cycle, right? So it's the beginning of what
I
I
was gonna
think
say-
you're about to describe for us, Sarah, probably is this energetic shift.
Yeah, and we're assuming, and I know their calendar has to end, but what if it meant more than that? What if it ended there because a new age would begin after that? I mean, no, we don't know. We can't say definitively if that wasn't.
Well, it's quite probable.
Well, we can say we're living in a new age. Just turn on
It's
your
something
X
to
feed for
ponder.
a second and look at what's happening globally, right? No matter which side of the argument you're on, you see revelation happening, you see information that was not publicly at large unfolding right before you. And you see, I mean, fuck guys, our government, right
Yeah,
now,
but that
worldwide
information
is like this because the shift, it's different now than it was. That age where we could be kept down, where the matrix could be enforced and none of us were even fucking aware it was here. We can affirm that shift has happened, right? So I can affirm that something is occurring when the Mayan calendar ended.
Yeah, sure, Jason, but without taking the value of it, because I do believe that we are entering a new age, that happened all the time in the past, because new information was always coming out, sometimes faster, sometimes slower. The difference is, as Terence McKenna points out in Time Wave Zero, and as Ian Landgold points out in the Mayan calendar, there are processes of slowing down and there are processes where it speeds up. And we are in a zone of where it's speeding up to the point that we cannot keep up with it, right? But I think every time is a time of revelation. It's just people don't take advantage of it. In fact, if even now in this period, if not enough people got awakened in that sense and come to transcend, it won't happen because there isn't enough people following the same movement. It requires a unity. It requires some consciousness resonance for
a homogeneous number.
So
like in
Dolores fought all her life and trying to achieve this global resonance. She wrote the books, she traveled, she spoke to people trying to get. The problem is, like her, there were another 3 or 4 or 5 that are also trying to create their own resonance, right? And 99% of the people wasn't even listening to them. So every time it is a process of that. The thing is as we are pointing, is the now. If enough people manage to achieve a level of understanding of who they are and what they're doing, and this leads me to the note that I took on what Sarah was telling, that is about karma. Is karma. Many of those points that she brought about religions, they all make it seem deterministic, script, as we were talking before, like it is script. Nothing is script. Absolutely nothing is script. Right? The only thing is, if you understand chaos, let's put God as the omniscient creature that knows all. It's not because everything is script. It's because there is action reaction, right? There is a consequence to everything. And if you understand the chaos language, you can predict everything by every single movement that happens in the global existence. Right, in the global reality, and even in the spirit world, because everything follows the same rules, although they don't exist in the same realms. So my point is, while they are pointing this karma, right, every single thing of these things is to bring humanity down, is not to raise it up. Because to raise it up, you have to make them understand they are responsible for their own lives and their own actions, that they have consequences. The choice is important, that every step in the way must be taken care with the same reverence as you would take the most important thing in your life, right? And by speaking about karma, as these religions pointed, it's just like, oh, I'm just a victim. I made a stupid choice because it was written that I would do so. So I cannot go back and undo what I've done. And if I can undo it.
No, you started the karma when you made the choice.
Sure.
It's not written.
But you can change.
When you made the choice, you put something in motion.
Exactly. And then that was my...
And that's once you learn to work with the karma, right? Once you get rid of negative karma, once you do this work that Sarah's talking about.
You're the writer of that book. You are writing that book.
You then get to that point. Yes, Ricardo, you get to that net zero karma point, right? Where you then can start acting out in ways that are helpful, right? Which is where you're going in positive and enforcing and becoming an agent of change. You are then putting positive karma. You're aiming it out at others, as all these things tell us, right? Work with others, right? Go about and aim it at others. That it's a force. It's not a script.
Sure,
right? It's an active force.
That's where enter what I don't like the term, but for most people to understand, that's where enter the NPCs, right? These humans that are just living their lives as if it has to be that way, right? And they are so intertwined in that existence that most of them, for instance, you take their work away and they don't exist because they are their work.
Imagine if we just got 20% of them. Imagine if we just got 20% of them over here where we are, right?
You ask these people who they are, and they are their work. You take their work, there is no creativity, there is no spark, there is no spirit in them. It's so unplugged. They're so based in their brain,
what this place
right?
Did to them on purpose.
No, it's what they allowed themselves to fall into.
Well, yeah, okay, yeah.
Because everybody can see a sunset, everybody can see the beauty of the sea or the beauty of the mountain or the beauty of the seasons going by, of the amazing thing that nature and all its creatures are, the growing of a plant.
When you don't have a society that has told you, you have to pay this bill, you have to do this, you have to be there at 7 o'clock, you have to be home at 5, you have to cook dinner. Okay, when the fuck do I get a chance to think about why I'm here? I don't. That's why that system is in place, is to create people
but that's
that
the thing.
Don't have a
clue.
You
do have that choice. That's the thing. Even though you are buried under all of those layers
I got
of
that
society.
choice when I was at rock bottom as an alcoholic, and I looked around and I realized I couldn't fucking do it anymore. I couldn't keep. I'd been drinking just to try to play their game, to keep going every day, to play this thing that I knew had no anchor to myself. I felt it, right, Ricardo? But in order to start making these choices that aligned me to it, I had to be fucking as low as you can go. right? So
Right.
don't tell me everybody's just got the choice.
But
This
now,
system is so fucking ingrained that I and many of us others out here spirit had to fucking crush us to get us to see that there's a bigger picture outside of this matrix that I've been forced to live in my whole life.
yes, but now that you've been there, now that you
Yes.
are
Now
where
that I'm
you
here.
are, now that you
Yes.
are where you are, and you look back and you say, why the hell did I needed to get that low just to be able to see the sunset, just to be able to understand the miracle of existence, of the beauty, of the paradise that it is, even with all the evils that we can see, right?
Because I grew up in a system that never afforded me the opportunity, and it never told me the value of it. I would try. I would love to, right? I would love to take my minute alone and get a drink and try to decompress from that matrix and stare at the sun, Ricardo, right? But the second I wanted to have passed a second deeper thought, right? I wanted to go anywhere deeper. There was something that was requiring my attention, right? There was something that I had to do because I was a victim of the system that had been put in place. I believed it. I believed that if I didn't pay my rent on Friday, I was worthless and life was over.
So it
right?
was a choice.
Not so much. Not so much, dude. Not so much. If I'd have been born like I'm trying to raise my kids, right? And all of this next generation, independent, trying to really do our best, even though it's hard with kids with these phones, to do our best to clue them into all these other realities. And luckily for us, like Dolores describes, and we'll get back to the presentation, they're more aware. It's a lot easier to keep them here. But man, I just can't go with saying I had that full choice at any time. I know now that I'm over here, I can look back and I see the fallacy of that matrix and how easy it would have been. But I lived through all those years not being able to see outside of it.
That was exactly my point. Now that you know that at any point you could erase that blindness and choose another path. I know it's hard to see. I'm just saying that everybody always had that chance. Everybody, even though they are stuck to a life, right? They can make the change. And although most of the times to make that change, it will signify that you go destitute or you go into a horrible living until you finally get your help. And that's why people don't even think about it, because it's impossible that I can get out of this cycle that I'm into, right? Because
that's the isolation.
Yeah,
and it's required.
It looks worse than what you are experiencing. That choice of freedom looks worse. It's like someone that is in a prison and gets 3 meals a day and a bath a week, right? And to choose out of that means that you have to go and fetch your own food. I know I'm extrapolating. I'm just trying to make my point here. Is choice most of the time it brings you to a worse place in those situations, because you have nothing. The only thing you have is that you are into. That cycle that you are into makes you to put food on the table, to keep existing, to buy the alcohol, to whatever it is. That cycle allows you to continue, right? And if you choose to get out of it, you'll be worse still, right? It's because you have to go all the way, abandon everything to build up again. What I'm saying is, although the choice may appear that it doesn't exist, it is possible. The problem is we cannot see it until we finally see it, right? Until we finally overcome those problems.
We have to learn to trust. That's what the going down to nothing is about. It's about learning that, in fact, I never could build anything. In fact, I never could, until it's always, in the hands of something more powerful. Okay. And until I learn to give over and start working with that, then it's not going to go anywhere.
I think the point, and I will have to agree with Jason, is that yes, the choice is always there. However, for most people, the reality is that every single thing must be broken down and taken away from you before your eyes have the veil lifted and you can see that until the path has been completely destroyed, you don't realize that there's another direction. And so, and personally, I can identify with that, and whether the destruction is self-destruction, or it comes from another direction, or it's destruction from spirit, or whatever it is, however you've hit rock bottom, you don't there's no clarity for many people until they literally have been broken down to nothing. So whether you implement that independently or it comes from outside forces, whatever it is, I would have to agree with Jason and say that.
When you're
eh,
making a man or a woman, Jacqueline, ego is important, isn't it? In a way, right? I need Jacqueline to be Jacqueline, right? I need you
yeah.
to have these experiences and these things that make you this powerful being sitting before me, right?
Hmm.
Okay, those experiences happen to you, and then there's going to come this moment where you're breaking free, right, to become this other thing, and that's that pain, that's that low
Hmm.
moment to shake you now out of that situation you had to be in to help form you. Yeah.
Yeah. I personally can identify with the thought that every single thing that you think you have has to be completely obliterated before you realize that you never had any of it. That I I always think of, and it's a simple quote, but it works in a lot of ways on a lot of levels for me, and so I apply it personally, mentally, all the time. Is that the things you think you own actually own you.
Yes. Yes.
So,
Yep.
It's
yeah.
correct until you're totally free and learn how to move that way. I had a lot in the matrix that I was trying to, house all these things that luckily for me got burned right in front of me and removed from me. And I was down here on this creek, y'all, and let's keep moving. I'll say this. I'm down there by the fire, right? This is, well into the process. When I don't have my girls, I'm down there camping, and I'm down there by the fire. I got like basically a loincloth from a ripped shirt. I've got a piece of steak, that I brought from the house. Been out there all night, communing, running through the creeks, hooting and hollering free. I got on the sandbar. There's a 5-foot ridge right before the water. That's where my
Mhm,
bathroom was. So I used to make the joke that, man, y'all see the view from my bathroom because you go to the little what I call the shitter, and you're sitting there looking at the sun come up over the creek with the mist, you know, all around
mhm,
you is just quiet and beauty. And I'm there one morning and I'm cooking my steak and I'm dancing around in my loincloth. And Barry, this dude I was helping out, who was totally trapped in the matrix, but dealing with addiction, right? Barry had come to find me because they needed me somewhere at the house or something. And Barry comes walking up. He's British. He sees me. He goes, "Oh, you're fucking crazy, aren't you?" And but what the reality is I was sitting there a free man. All of those things I didn't have when I was over there in the Matrix, now that I had everything ripped from me, I had, right? I didn't have my
mhm,
kids with me at that very moment. So where was I? I was free. I was with my God. I was in creation. I was by a fire. I had sand. I had beautiful running water. I had scenery. I had everything I needed to be happy and free. And the world had
mhm,
taken everything from me.
mhm,
So I was able to then take on that lesson of, wait a minute, Jason, just get an inner tube and go build a fire. And you've got everything you ever wanted: privacy, time to talk to God, and just fucking start a fire, cook a steak, you know? Yeah.
mhm.
You have to get that broken moment to be able to appreciate it. And I don't know why we work that
Yep.
way, Ricardo. I can't, but it's the way this place works, dude.
It
It's the
is.
way it worked for me, for sure.
Yep.
Sarah, go.
Okay. Legacy and application. Cannon's work encourages questioning reality, embracing personal power, and viewing life as an illusion for soul growth. Critics label it pseudoscience or delusional, but proponents credit it with profound healings and awakenings.
Right.
To explore, start with the 3 waves of volunteers in the New Earth for modern relevance, or Between Death and Life for afterlife details. I think I started with The Custodians was the first book of hers that I read. That's a good place to start too.
What would you say that, you know, would you say that's a good starting point for anyone who's not familiar with her work?
Yeah, if you're just diving into Dolores, um, The Custodians or 3 Waves is the best place to start, I would say.
Okay.
It's got the most well-rounded, just kind of a,
Like introductory.
yeah, like 101 course.
Okay.
And you need the lesser books to understand what's coming
Mhm.
down the line, because the only ones I haven't finished are the Convoluted Universe series. that she did, and it's because it lives up to its name. And yeah,
Yeah.
it broke. I mean, the first book broke me, and I was like, I'm gonna need a little breaky break
I
before
need a
I
little
do the next
break. I need a little
before
break to
I do the
digest.
next one.
Yeah.
And I mean, like, I'm going through her books just fully comprehending everything she says up until that point. So I mean, don't think that you can just go get the convoluted universe and start there, because you'll never pick another one of her books up again if that's what you do.
Gotcha. Gotcha.
It'll ruin it for you.
You
So
also have at least one of her interviews on my Rumble channel. So it's also History, Myths, and Legends. So if you want to hear what she has to say, she's being introduced from either the Avalon project or the Camelot project. I don't know which one of them is, but the good old days, or what we are doing now, didn't have internet, so they have to go to people's houses and sit down with them and record this while she was still alive, so they can go and watch it and see her message.
yeah, that's how she did it. I mean, people would fly her out, and she'd go to their house with her little tape recorder and do her thing old school. I mean, and she's got tons of like footage and talks and things that she's had. She's all over YouTube. So where's my last page? Takeaways. Embrace reincarnation and past lives as tools for growth. Cannon's regressions often revealed that souls choose Earth incarnations to resolve karma, fulfill soul contracts, and learn specific lessons like forgiveness or compassion. View current challenges not as punishments, but as opportunities to heal unresolved patterns from past lives. By understanding these cycles, you can break free of repetitive suffering and accelerate spiritual evolution. As she noted, the awakening is the purpose, to awaken to the fact that in essence, we are light and we are love. That is the whole point. Um, Harness manifestation through subconscious alignment. Cannon taught that reality is shaped by thoughts, emotions, and beliefs stored in the subconscious, which acts as a bridge to the oversoul or higher self. Techniques like visualization, affirmations, and emotional release can reprogram limiting beliefs to attract desired outcomes. Manifestation isn't wishful thinking, it's aligning your inner vibration with universal energy. Trust that love just is. It is the answer to everything, overriding fear-based blocks. This one's a practical tip. During meditation, dialogue with your subconscious to release doubts and affirm your soul's intentions. Navigate the 12 stages of spiritual awakening. Cannon outlined from initial restlessness and questioning reality to profound healing, service to others, and unity with the divine. This new earth shift describes humanity's transition to higher consciousness aided by extraterrestrial guides and energy waves. Awakening is a journey, not a destination. Embrace discomfort as a catalyst for transformation. Integrate lessons into daily life to foster purpose and connections, reminding us that the key to unlocking your true potential lies in understanding and embracing your own unique gifts. Access the Akashic records and higher wisdom. Through QHHT, Cannon viewed the subconscious as a direct line to source capable of spontaneous physical and emotional cures. Um, Everyone has innate access to infinite wisdom. Hypnosis or deep meditation can unlock it. This empowers self-healing, as clients often resolve chronic illnesses by forgiving past traumas or aligning with their soul's path. Now, if you are missing a leg, it is not going to go back because you meditated.
What?
Just want to be clear on that.
Yeah.
I myself have a chronic illness, and like after all this started, I followed a string of synchronicities straight to the operating room, and now my little problem that I was having is 50% better. We're not all there yet, but it did. Like, I followed a string of synchronicities, went and had it, like, diagnosed myself, went and had a
Right.
surgery, and it saw
Mhm.
improvement. Like, I
Follow
can't
those
deny that.
synchronicities.
It's like a trail of breadcrumbs
It's
led
the
me in there,
map every
and
time.
yep.
I'm
Let me
sitting
see
here
what
with you because I do that every day. Looks like I do nothing until
Is that how
something.
you got here?
That's how I got here. One fucking day at a time, man.
Yep.
Well, there's a number on that tag. Oh, I've been looking for that. I guess I go that way. You know, that's one fucking day at a
That's the
time,
part
man.
that makes you feel crazy.
Dude, it's when you get out here and you have 100%. You're with it now. You're rocking and rolling with this thing. You have turned your ego and your will over to it. Then you look crazy all the damn time. You know, you
Yep.
do. And you got to get over that launch, but it's just about practice. Once you do it a couple
You
of
gotta
times,
get over that lump.
once you go, motherfucker, you are here. You just put that there and made that happen because I followed it. Oh, fuck. Okay, I'm on the path here, you
And
know?
it goes with the other thing that you did earlier.
Right?
Like,
Exactly. Sarah, I mean,
yeah.
we can't. 2 points here. You can't drive home enough. First of all, manifestation is not what everybody likes to think. Oh, I just think on it, it happens. No. First of all, you've gone through all of these processes that we've talked about the whole time: ego, alignment, all of that. You are now, so your wants and wishes are aligned with the will of the thing that's running it all. Right. That's first and foremost. Second of all, it's then work every day of doing this every single day. When you're trying to put together a big picture, right? This past weekend, I got to ask Graham Hancock a question on a computer screen. Okay. I could barely get it out, right? Because his eyes were glowing at mine and mine were glowing back at him. And you don't know how long for Jason that has been a fucking dream, right? Just for me, the whole fucking weekend was worth it for that, right? I was giddy. I was walking around on cloud nine after that, right? But that didn't happen just because I sat here and thought about it, right? That happened because for years, a day at a time, I got shown something a long time ago. And so a day at a time, I follow that. I follow that guidance a day at a time, doing what it says, not what I say. And then I'm somewhere. I'm in a thing that people call manifested, right?
Mm.
But I got there. My dream was aligned with the dream, with the will of the whole, right? My dream, this thing that made me so overjoyed personally, right, is aligned with the objective of the whole. That's where the secret is in there, right? Is once my joy and my wishes and dreams are aligned with the big plan, right? The overall picture. And that's when the magic happens. And that's when
Yep.
manifestation does become like walking in miracles. When I first found Mabilla, right? And there was this day where I first had gotten a hint of the metal and I'm like, okay, I know what's fucking going on here, right? And I drive over the bridge and I see a rain cloud, a weird rain cloud, just a rain cloud like by its fucking self. And I'm driving away and I see it blowing back over. And I'm like, holy shit, it's about to storm just over that creek, right? And it's like, well, you know what that means? I'm like, I do. I go home, I wait for the storm to come back over. I go back to the creek, and y'all, for the first time, I'm walking through that creek, and the DeSoto metal is everywhere, right? Just everywhere. Now, for me alone, in that moment, walking through that creek, I was walking in a miracle, right? It won't have the same effect for anybody else, right? Even me
Right.
telling the story. But for me then, in that moment, I understood what walking in miracles was, and I understood what got me there. That was following everything. Jason, you're crazy. There's not a cloud over. That's not God putting a cloud over the creek to make it rain for you. Don't be stupid.
Not when you say it like that.
Really, I didn't listen. You still have all those voices. That's what the world's. That's the voice of the world, right? And it still echoes. But you learn to go, nope. I'm going to listen to you.
I know different.
Right? I know different. And I go and I'm going to walk in that creek now. And I fell down and I cried, right? Like, I didn't even know. I haven't even really told anybody the story. And I wondered then, would I ever even tell the story? And here I am. Because for me, it was just like that miracle in AA when all of a sudden the desire to drink was gone, right? That was a miracle, right? That was the first miracle for me. When that happened, I was like, okay, I'm going to lean into wherever you're taking me,
Yeah.
and it's just synchronicities. I like Dolores.
Okay.
I don't know. I like this, Sarah. I like this
Yeah,
a lot.
she's a cool old lady. She was a cool old lady. So the next one we have rethink Jesus and religion through universal love. You don't have to rethink Jesus. No one has to think about Jesus if you don't want to, but if you want to cover all your bases. Cannon's sessions portrayed Jesus as an Essene influenced teacher who incarnated multiple times to model unconditional love, not as the sole savior in a dogmatic sense. His message transcended religion, focusing on inner spirituality and compassion. Spirituality is personal and boundless. Question inherited beliefs to discover a benevolent God of light. This fosters tolerance as love has no opposite, encouraging unity over division. Trust the divine plan amid uncertainty. Amid global shifts, Cannon urged surrendering to the divine plan where souls volunteer for this era to raise Earth's vibration. Extraterrestrials and light beings assist, but free will remains paramount. Embrace the unknown and trust in the divine plan that is unfolding for you. Cultivate faith in your resilience. Challenges are illusions, masking our eternal light-based essence. And then there's her books that she did. Already
That's a
told you about.
lot of books.
Yeah, and some of them probably aren't even pictured there. I've read every single one of her books except for that Convoluted Universe. I mean, I couldn't put them down once I started. Conclusion. Cannon's legacy reminds us that healing and enlightenment are accessible to all. Her work isn't about blind faith, but experiential discovery. Ultimately, her teachings invite a life of wonder, where curiosity replaces fear and love illuminates the path forward.
Amen.
We are multidimensional beings, splinters of a greater soul, here to learn, heal, and co-create reality. That being said, as co-creators, I'd like to pose a rather famous philosophical question in conclusion.
Uh-oh.
What do we owe each other? This mirrors Dolores' concept of soul contracts and the eternal agreements souls make before incarnation to support each other's evolution. We owe roles in one another's lives as helpers, challengers, or healers, not out of legal duty, but to resolve karma and foster compassion. The call for reciprocity becomes a spiritual mandate. Ignoring it perpetuates soul-level imbalances, urging us to view policy debates as opportunities for collective karmic resolution. We are meant to do this together. No one is coming to save us. We are the ones that we have been waiting for.
Yes.
When we leave here today and go about our individual lives, I encourage you to keep these concepts in your back pocket and walk with them. Thank you for your time and your participation in this presentation, and I hope it is to the eternal benefit of your soul.
It will be, and it is.
Dolly, that was beautiful. It was so good.
Thanks.
I've been waiting on this one, and I'm so
You've
pleased.
got
You did
me.
such a great job.
You've got me teary-eyed.
Yeah.
Especially
And you
right
know what?
here.
Here's the thing. Sarah says that over and over, I think, to every single guest we've had in one form or another. That she says always, it's up to us and we have to work together to reach the destination. So this is very aligned with Sarah for sure.
It's
We have to. We have to do it together.
we have to. I expressed it like this early on. I'm gonna try to say this without really. There's things I shouldn't reveal. So let's just say it like this. I was trying to describe to someone a few years ago the reality and of what I was doing, and it came out like this. I was like, look, this is so real. Look at me. I'm out here trying to keep promises I made in past lives, right? That's how fucking real this shit is. What you see, at this point in my life, I was like, all this fucking what I'm doing is because I made a promise before and I'm fucking keeping it, you know?
Yep.
Yeah. So that touched me very deeply.
And you keep the promises for yourself and for others because you realize that it's not just about you. You have to hold out a hand to other people as well and give them a leg up if they're willing to accept that. If not, that's okay. They can get it next time. They might need another run
Right.
through the machine.
Either way, you've checked, if we're talking about this lesson plan or whatever, you've checked off your check mark, right? You've put it to them, you've done it, and then whatever. Yeah.
Yeah.
This,
Here's
Sarah,
some keys. You can use them if you want. You can
this
try it
was
if you
great.
want.
This was really good. I know I don't really have any closing, because there was a lot, and we talked a lot. I think what I'd say is it just rings so true, for me. I don't have any preconceived notions about this Dolores Cannon. I don't know what other people carry with them, but what you just walked me through was my experience, roughly with my own words over here, attached to it. And I think, and no, I hope what everybody takes on, right, is that what she described and this shift and this thing we're in, we're fucking in it, right? It is real. And those of you out
Like
there
it or not.
that like it or fucking not. And it's time to start making choices to align, start making choices for you. Start aligning yourself with whatever you call it, your intuition, your soul, or if you're, God, wherever you are, right? It just, you've got to start aligning with that or you're going to be in a lot of trouble.
Well,
I know that.
Yeah.
well, first of all, I want to Sarah. It was excellent. Thank you for your presentation. And regarding what Shaman was saying is, if we follow all that you showed us from Dolores and we connect to all of others that have similar messages, is that it isn't that hard. It isn't that hard to follow these steps. That's why so many people found so many different ways to achieve it, right? There is
Yep.
countless ways of achieving this or trying to achieve these states. That would be a better way to say it. So no matter what is your way that are watching, it doesn't have to be this one or any other. You can pick whatever you want of these mechanisms that helps us to evolve and reach a higher state.
Absolutely.
And this shows, I go back to the first phrase, it shows how easy it is to let go and understand a greater purpose of seeing yourself included in the higher circle. It doesn't matter if a person is a selected of the community or is excluded from the community. He still has a part to play, right? So it isn't, the point that I'm making is it isn't difficult, and even that as she was pointing at the end, to you were mentioning the repetition of the cycles, that you need to go and see your past lives in order to understand those mistakes. To me, I take it all as semantics, because to me it's just, as you are in that cycle, as you are in that repetition, or that's what they call the repetition, that might not be, when you're taken to these states of meditation, you'll get to connect to these threads in the Akashic record that had the same things and how they got out of it. So you learn the process. You might identify it as your past life. It doesn't matter. What matters is the lesson. So the rest is irrelevant. If it is your past life or anyone else, it doesn't matter. What matters is the lesson that that experience gave you, that going through that hypnosis, that is the system that she used, worked for you, right? It doesn't mean that taking mushrooms or practicing any other kind of method, be it religious or not, doesn't take you there, but it is what life presents you, and you take it and you absorb that information and you move on. So it isn't, again, it isn't difficult.
It's not. And this is, I mean, we're like an hour and 50 minutes into this almost. That was the longest possible way I could have said, don't be a dick to people. Like,
The golden rule and
That's Sarah's
Dan
don't be a dick.
Richards parlance. Yeah, exactly.
Sarah's universal
Don't be a
truth.
dick. Yeah,
Mhm.
like help people, help. I mean, I don't care if you want to call them your earth mates, your brothers, your sisters, your family. Help
Mhm.
people.
Right.
If someone's struggling with something and you've already been through that particular trial,
Right.
Right.
help them.
I
And if
call
you
that
can't help people, or you're unwilling or unable, you should just
Yeah.
leave them alone. Leave people alone, I think.
Or alternatively, people who haven't been through what you've been through and people who don't know what you know, it's a lot like the forgive them for they know not what they do.
That's right. Yeah.
Once you see that the way people react most of the time has nothing to do with you,
right.
Well, you
usually it's
can't.
a reflection of who they are.
Yeah,
Right.
it's another big one I remember often is, you can't deliver a message to someone who's unable to receive it.
Mm.
Yeah. You can
So
lead a horse to water, but you can't make him drink.
And that's the Southern version of what I just said.
When the student is ready, the teacher will appear.
That's right.
That too.
Yeah.
Yep. A lot of these one-liners are rooted
They're
in.
all
They're
true.
all
They're all
fucking true.
true.
I can't help it.
Right? They're all true.
The less I have, the more I feel like I'm wealthy. It's all true.
Yeah.
It's slavery. Mastery through slavery.
Mhm.
It's all of that. Look, I call what you're talking about and what she's talking about selfish selflessness. Right? That's
Mhm.
my term for this law. It's a law. It seems to me. Is that
Mhm.
when you do start helping other people and you start being of service and you stop thinking about you, not only does your interior world start to improve a little bit because you've helped this thing shut down, right? But
Mhm.
literally other things start happening and occurring, right? Positive shifts begin, you know.
Mhm.
Yeah, so I call it selfish selflessness. I learned that I was benefiting me by putting others
Absolutely.
first, you know.
Absolutely. Yeah.
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 Well, it's like when, say you're arguing with someone and they're wrong. Well, you can tell them that they're a fucking moron,
Mhm.
or you can get on their level and try and have an actual conversation with them. Which do you think is more helpful? Because
Right.
anyone with an ounce of sense knows that calling someone a fucking moron is not gonna lead them to what you want them to know. It's
No.
not. They're gonna avoid it like the plague if you put it that way. So, I mean,
Yes.
you catch more flies with honey than vinegar, for another Southern saying there. And I think that this is all important to our spiritual evolution. And I mean, if we're out here dealing low blows or being a dick to people or just generally being a piece of shit, that's not helpful to you and it's not helpful to the planet. And you should get the fuck on with that shit. So,
Go on with your
yeah,
bad selves.
Yeah.
an hour and 52 minutes to say that.
Don't be a dick, y'all. Don't be a
Don't be
dick.
a dick. Stop being a dick to people.
Don't
Yeah.
be
Start
it.
trying to move with purpose and intention.
Yes.
And what is the purpose of what I'm doing? What does it benefit? Does it benefit me? Does it benefit the people around me? Am I, if it's benefiting the people around me, is this people pleasing behavior? Because if it is, I don't want to do that either.
It's a
Like,
tightrope walk,
there's a
people.
balance, and you have to like put yourself under a microscope too, and it'll
Yes.
bring all the ugly out of you too, and you'll see
Yeah.
some things you don't want to see, but it'll be for your own good. You'll be
We have
better for it.
to look in before we look out.
Know thyself.
Mhm. Could we keep going all day with these?
What was
I
my
know
absolute
personally.
truth? Change is the only constant, and of that growth, the only objective. I mean,
Yeah,
it's
No.
all here.
my universal truth is you can catch these hands because they are ready to eat for everybody.
Oh. Do you remember do you remember when Sarah you and I were talking to Jason Wild, and he's on the spiritual path, and he's given us all kinds of information about when he was
I'm glad you
in
brought him up.
India. Yeah. And then he says, he's given us all these essentially one-liners about karma and what is the meaning of being kind in life. And then he said, but if you have to, you can still lay down the law.
You have to sometimes.
Yeah. I'm like, thank goodness you said that
Right.
because
Well, you
yeah.
can't look at our buddy, friend of the show there, Dan Richards, right? Look at, if you just read him off some of his online engagement, right? You go, that dude's a, douche or whatever. I got to, along with everybody else, I got to see him in person this weekend. Guys, look, I had to look twice when I saw him for the first time because I thought he was fucking glowing. Like I'm not
Mm.
even kidding. His light is just like no shit, running around just full of energy, smile on his fucking face, caring about everybody, making sure whoever had approached him, making sure they got a good laugh or whatever. It's
And
just fucking in the bar all night. And whatever, drank him out a beer one night. I was standing up there at the bar and I was getting my club soda. He came over there, he's surprised. He said, "What are you doing up here?" Said, "Getting my water." And then right then they said, "Dan, we're out of your beer." I said, "See, I'm thirsty. I'm dehydrated from all your damn drinking, But he's just running around being a great soul, and so that is an important line to make, is sometimes, somebody's trying to disrupt the class, then they just don't need to be in the class. They don't deserve, the chance to keep sitting in the class. So
Because they have
there's
to go back down the ladder and go do those other
You
steps
gotta
first.
retrace your
Right.
steps. You gotta go back and
Yeah.
try again. Yeah.
Yep.
Y-
Put them back in
can't-
kindergarten.
Yeah, you can't skip any karmic lessons.
That's it. Get your ass back and keep going. You know, I did it. That's the thing. That's the other thing about all this, guys.
And the thing is, Jason, you'll
we've
do
all
it
done it.
again.
That's
You'll
it.
do it again.
We've all been there, but we all went. That's it. We've all gone through these processes, you know. So you can sit back and you at a certain point, you can say to other people, you know, not only you can do it, you know, I fucking did it, you know, and look at me. I'm not, you know, I'm a fucking big hairy ass idiot over here that doesn't try to think too much and just goes with the flow. I managed it, you know.
Fast wash of my beauty. Yeah. Well,
Was everybody
Dolly.
good? Anybody got questions? I think we're good.
No, I loved your presentation. It's very not only spiritually beautiful, but also visually beautiful. Well done.
I'm gonna wrap up
Okay.
with what we owe each other, and I'm gonna say thank you very much to each of you, you know, for the fact that I found you guys, who I don't, you know, whether or not you feel like we owe each other, you do provide a valuable service for me, right? And just by being you guys, you know, and being supportive, and it just means the world to me. And that even hit home, you know, especially this weekend. It was great to be around all these friends, but having you guys to sort of, you know, attach to, right? Just be like, you know, that friends, right? That means the world to me. And whether anybody's doing it out of a sense of owing each other, it echoes that point that you can't do this alone. We can't do this alone moving forward, right? And that's just the way it is. And I'm just very thankful
Well,
that I have people
you
around
do
me
have
to express that with.
you do have a certain in order to be valuable to others, you have a certain obligation to do some things on your own, right? Like if you're not, like you said, if they're not ready to hang and they can't sit at the table,
Right.
then you
Yeah,
know. So you do have there. You have to carry the weight, your own weight, and then find ways to help carry the weight of others.
that's it.
So
That's
yeah,
it. And it's just nice to then have a group of people who are all engaged in doing that, right? So we all
Mhm.
understand that, you know, and it's beyond, I mean, helpful, you know. So I thank you
um,
for living out whatever it is we owe each other.
yeah, me too.
It's a pleasure. Been a
Little
pleasure.
family, little
Right?
family.
Yeah,
Bunch of fucking
I
retards over
know.
here.
You jackasses.
Right?
I love you
Well,
guys.
the IFNP collective has been a godsend because I mean it's just chock full of people that are you
Yeah,
know ancient history and you know I'm more spiritual based. I'm trying to figure out like where we go when we die and things like that. You know,
sure.
not so much history,
She's
but
the
history does
oracle.
play into it. Yeah, I mean y'all
Stop
send
It's
me some
all
being
the
medicine,
same.
give me some
obsessive
drugs.
with death.
Sarah, it's all the same. You nailed you wrapped it full circle for us. Look, when I'm becoming aware of the truth of my past and the history and these antediluvian societies, what am I becoming aware of? What a society did when they tuned in to the spiritual power that we have in this place, right?
Yeah,
It's all the story coming together. And you're right, it comes together at the Institute for Natural Philosophy, you know, perfectly. When I was out there, guys, that's what I viscerally felt. Like Hugh Newman when his lecture, and here's a guy that's not mainstream, and the knowledge that he's putting out defines what this
I actually
place.
love that guy and the work he
Yeah,
does.
his
Yeah.
work is defining what this place is. His work and many others, right? And he is an independent researcher, right? So you sit there and you know this is the way. You know, this is the
yeah.
way. And we're all part of that. And I get to experience it and just viscerally see it every day.
Yeah, he's like a real working archaeologist and
Right.
he has I love the work that he does. He approaches it very practically, very honestly, very openly. Yeah. I like his stuff. I get notifications on him.
Yeah,
And
yeah, he was
I don't hit
incredible.
the bell from very many people, but him I do. Yeah.
Look, let's find Hugh Newman's lecture and then we'll sign off. Okay, this is the end. Okay. His 1 hour lecture, you know, is you see Hugh Newman at the top, right?
Damn.
you know, and they even
He
link
was just a scribbling.
they
You're a
even
good
link
note
back.
taker, Jason.
Well, dude, I mean, look, he's there presenting on this thing that I personally am chasing out, you know, because I've got antediluvian Alabama. I've found this stuff here, right? And he's educating me on the other side, right? On Göbekli Tepe and Karen Tepe. So I'm already starting to get a map formed in my head of the actual survivors, the diffusionists, you know, these actual people and the movements they might have made, and also the different belief systems that might have kind of gone with them, right? So that's what you see here is the more he kept going, the more I'm just seeing connections all over the place. Um, but yeah, his work is really, you see it. That's all I have to say about it.
Well, damn.
Well, everybody, we thank you very deeply and very
2 hour
much.
mark. Look at that. Right on it.
Yeah. For hanging out with us for another fabulous UU crew session. It's like every once in a while we just film ourselves having conversations instead of typing them. So
Yeah,
it's
right.
extra special. Yeah,
It's a fun way to see what everyone's learning about. I
that's
mean,
true. That's true.
that
It
way
is
all
a
of our
fun one.
knowledge can cross. That's the
Mhm.
reason for the season or whatever. Is it not?
The
That's the
reason
name
for
of the
the
game.
season.
It's the name.
Well,
Sorry, it's Christmas, y'all.
I
Mhm.
appreciate that your experience too, not just your knowledge, is what was coming at us today, Sarah. That's what made it so
Mhm.
special for me. Yeah. Thank you for sharing it.
Well, I'm glad y'all enjoyed it. It was a pleasure, and this is primarily what I study is why my world went haywire. Just randomly like that. So I'm always happy to share it with other people, and I know other people are walking the same path and wondering what the hell is going on. So this is something that I found, and I'm happy to share it with everyone. So
Yeah, and
Yeah,
I
definitely a
back it
lot of
up.
people.
Sarah,
A lot of
what
people.
did I say to you when you told me Dolores? You were telling me this topic months ago, right? And I'm not familiar with Dolores Cannon really, and you're telling me these things about class and souls. And what was I saying? Yep. Uh-huh. That's my
yep,
experience. Uh-huh. Right.
Yeah, a
Well,
lot of
yeah, I
people
knew
have the
you
same
would know
boat.
exactly.
Right.
If you know,
So
you know.
If you know, you know.
Sorry.
And we know a little bit. We don't know a lot. We know a
what were
little
you going to
bit.
say, Ricardo?
What's up, boss?
You're
You're
muted.
on mute, boss. What you got?
oh, I'm sorry. I was just saying that it's not random at all, Sarah. It's precisely what it's supposed to be.
Yes.
Like a wizard
We are exactly
being
where
on
we are
time.
supposed to be, as evidenced by the fact that we are here.
Amen. I concur.
Indeed. Do you boys want to sign off? And then Sarah and I will close up. Ricardo?
Birthday boy?
Okay, first of all,
I'm gonna get hit
Sarah,
after this. He's gonna hit me from Canada.
Sarah,
Yeah.
excellent presentation. You clearly knew what you're talking about, and I think everybody at home will resonate with that, and will be clearly better for what you brought up for them.
I
As
hope so.
yeah, I think they will. It's very good indeed. So to sign off, again, my name is Ricardo Calvario, and you can find me on X majorly, and look for the sister podcast is the Shaman and the Philosopher. And I think that's it. Very grateful for being here. Thank you for having me.
I just want to clarify that you're actually the brother podcast because we are
Or
the
the
sister
sister
podcast.
podcast.
We're the sisters.
Okay.
We are all
That-
one. You see?
there you go. We are
Separate us.
division.
We
The
just
division.
learned this.
Ricardo's constantly walking around on a psilocybin trip. He doesn't understand. There's separation. Jason Huffman, find me on YouTube at Shaman711, on X, Shaman711 _ where we are looking for the lost civilization over here in America, in Alabama. We're also working on a documentary about my process of finding Mobilla, the site of the Battle of Fernando de Soto and the Great Chief Tuscaloosa. Now, if today's topics mean something to you, if you are an independent researcher, communicator, artist, be it spiritual, be it history, be it material, then come find us at the Institute of Natural Philosophy, because we want to talk to you and learn from you as we currently are from each other. Thank you, Sarah. You touched me on many levels. You echoed my experience, and I'm honored to really just be sitting at this table with you and confidently walking hand in hand forward in this shit we're figuring out together.
Likewise.
Amen.
Thank you. You gonna
Okay,
sign off?
Dolly.
Or?
Okay, Dolly. Well, I'll do it because you just did a whole lot of talking. You can catch Universe Unveiled every second Wednesday, and we drop our video on X and YouTube. You can also find us on Spotify and Rumble, and socials on Instagram and Facebook. We also do a very sweet little news segment
Yeah,
that
you
we
do.
deliver every Sunday at 11:11 as per the Oracle.
It's 1:11 my time. It is 1:11. Look at that.
Yeah. So,
Yes.
yeah,
It
and you
is.
can support our show by going to the link in description, buy me a coffee or a merch shop. And Sarah, I just want to personally say thank you very much. Beautiful presentation. I know you worked very hard on it, and I'm super proud of you. It was great. Loved it. Loved the
Thank
content.
you. I'm glad y'all enjoyed it.
Well, I
Mhm.
did.
And I'm gonna have to hook me up with a link to whatever Dolores book you think I should start with for sure.
Ricardo has some of them now. Not to like
Yes.
call any names or anything, but
Yes, but he has digital copies, and I
Yeah.
am very, 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 very much, although I appreciate a digital copy, I need a
Same.
physical book so I can convene with the words, if you
Same.
will.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm a physical book
Gotta be able to
person.
mark the pages and underline shit and to
It
get it
would
in
be
your head.
horrible. It would be horrible if I was ever left without a roof over my head because somehow I would have to drag around 1,000 pounds of books with me. So, yeah.
see, I'm an audiobook girl, so I just
Appreciate
all my
those
books are
also.
right here.
I appreciate those also,
All
but I
immune
need the
together.
physical copy. Yeah.
We're gonna get you a horse with a cart just for your books, okay? So
I'm
they can
gonna
just
I might need it. Yes.
Yeah, bitch.
Yeah. Like Jeff Bezos has such a huge yacht because I have supported him financially on Amazon buying books. So, yeah. Yeah. Anyway, that being said, I guess that leaves only me left to do my presentation. So I gotta get my butt in gear so I can
Tune in
deliver
next UU
something.
crew for Jacqueline.
No. So yeah, thank
Well, we
you.
haven't looked at big rocks on here, Sarah. That was the first thing you got excited about. We can always do that in the future too. I haven't done a rock presentation. We did Mobilla, but we didn't look at the
You have to wait your turn, Jason.
Listen, Ricardo,
This is in February.
push over there and
Yeah. Yeah. So yeah. And I guess that means I'm in January, right?
Yeah, you're
Yeah.
January's UU
Yeah.
crew.
You can have
And
February.
Shaman is February.
We're gonna start
I
over
don't
again.
want. I don't want to take on anymore. I was just trying to be helpful because you looked
Well,
nervous and like you hadn't done shit to
no.
prep. So I was just being a good crewmate and just going, "Hey, I can step in if needed." You know, I don't want
I
to
could do my
go. I want you to
presentation
go.
right
I want to see
now.
what you've got to show us.
I could go right now if I needed to, buddy. No, but yeah,
It's
once I'm
gonna be
finished,
fun.
yeah, once I'm finished, we're gonna have to start over at the beginning again, which means you.
We're gonna find
So
more crew members. That's what we're gonna have to do.
before February. Yes. Yeah,
Not likely.
not likely. I
No,
like our little group here
I do
as it
too.
A
is.
couple of Ode.
I do too.
They'd have to be pretty darn special.
Yeah,
So
I was just
we'll see.
making a joke about not wanting to go in February. I think what we've got is right where it should be.
So I'll be up next, so everyone can look forward to that. In any case, Sarah and I have to move along because we have to record the news. So
Yep.
yeah,
Get to work, ladies. We'll get out of your way.
we appreciate you both very much.
Thank you.
Ricardo, do you have anything else?
No, just thank you all for all your work, and it's a privilege being here and experience these times with all of you. So thank you very much.
Okay.
Thank you all for sitting through my presentation.
Bless it.
Thank you for making us.
Yeah. All right, y'all. Thank you kindly.
Okay, bye.
Bye.
Lovely day. And thank you very much for watching to the end if you have. Bless your hearts.
Love you guys.
Love you too. Bye.
Bye.